Okay, today's the day. This is the video where I am going to finally answer the question, does your aquarium need a heater? Hey folks, it's John with KeepFishKeeping.com, and the answer to the question, does your aquarium need a heater, in my opinion, is yes, if it needs it. Let me explain. Yes, please, because your answer was, yes, your aquarium needs a heater if it needs it. That makes no sense. If you think about it, it really does make sense. If you have all of your equipment installed on your aquarium and your lights and all of these things, and all of that combined with the temperature in your room keeps your aquarium at the appropriate temperature for your fish, then no, you don't need a heater. But if your situation is different and all of those things don't keep the temperature up to where it needs to be, then yes, you need one. It's not making sense. All right, let's break this down. Let's say you have a 55-gallon aquarium in your living room and you usually keep the temperature in your house right around like 75 degrees. I mean, that's probably average, right? So the room is 75 degrees, which means your aquarium water should be 75 degrees too, right? Wrong, because there's other things that can warm the water up a little bit too. Just a little bit. Things like your filter and your lights definitely can warm the water up a little bit. Think about it. You have a pump in your filter that's actually pulling water through it and sending the water back out to your aquarium. That pump is going to generate some heat, which is going to naturally increase the temperature of your water. It's little, but it's there. Also, your lights shining down on an aquarium for 12 hours a day, and most of us want to keep them as bright as possible, that's going to warm the water up a little bit too. Maybe those two pieces of equipment raise the temperature of your water by, let's say, 2 degrees. It's just a little bit, but that 2 degrees is going to take you up to 77 degrees, which for a lot of fish in this hobby is going to be perfectly fine. Not all fish, but a lot of them. But let's talk about the opposite scenario. Let's say you keep your house, like mine, a little cooler. You like it colder. We keep our house right around 71 to 72 degrees year round because Lisa and I are always hot. Lisa's hot. So we're starting at 71 degrees. Our filter and our light is going to add an additional 2 degrees, if that's even really what they do, but we're just using this as an example. That would mean the water is going to be 73, 74 degrees. Again, I said we keep the house at 71 to 72. So 73 to 74 degrees can be argued would be perfectly fine for most fish too. Again, not all, but most would be okay with that. To me, that's kind of right on that borderline. Like, I'm starting to get nervous if the water temperature gets down that low for some fish, but in a lot of cases, that temperature is going to be fine, but it's borderline. So the point is, if you really want to know if your aquarium needs a heater, you know what temperature your fish need, let your aquarium run for a few days with all of the equipment running. Your filters, your UV sterilizers if you have one, your air pump, your lights, all of that. Let it run for a few days and see where you're at. If you are at the temperature that you need because of your room temperature along with all of those other things, then you should be fine. But if it's too low, well, now here's the next question you're probably asking. Why do fish need a heater anyway? Well, some fish don't. Fish like goldfish, danios, white clouds, some live bearers, there's quite a few fish out there that don't require a heater because they like cooler temperatures. If you're keeping those fish, then you don't even need to watch this video. Thank you for stopping by though. As far as giving you a list of fish that do require a heater, I'm not going to do that because it's literally like 90% of the hobby. So the odds are, if you're keeping fish in an aquarium in your home, you're most likely keeping fish that require a heater. They're going to want the water to be a little warmer. Warmer water does a lot of things for fish. First, it mimics nature, which is a good thing because instinctually it's what they like, but warm water also keeps the fish's metabolism up, which means they'll process food easier and they'll be generally healthier. Another thing is it helps to keep their immune system up, so it's going to help them to be able to fend off different infections and bacteria and stuff like that. Think about it, you're much more likely to get a cold in the wintertime versus the summer. It's not to say that it's unheard of to catch a cold in the summer, it's just not as likely. The other thing is stress. Let's use a human analogy. This is always fun. I'm a guy that's always hot. I'm one of those people that as soon as I start moving, I start sweating. I literally have a fan blowing on me as I'm talking to you right now. That's just me. If I'm moving, I'm sweating. Whether you're like me or not, imagine you're outside and it's like 100 degrees outside. I mean, it's ridiculously hot outside. And then you walk into a room that's 60 degrees. It's gonna feel really refreshing when you first walk in there. You're gonna be like, oh, this is amazing. But after a little time, your body temperature is gonna start to go down. Everything's gonna start to cool down. And at first it's gonna feel really good. It's gonna feel comfortable. You're gonna be like, oh, this is actually quite cozy. Everything's gonna be great. But again, as more time passes, your body temperature is gonna continue to drop. And before you know it, you're gonna start saying, whew, it's chilly. Is anyone else chilly? And after a little bit more time passes, your body temperature is going to continue to drop. Things are going to start getting cooler. You're really going to start getting cold because you're wearing a bathing suit. You just came in from the 110 degrees outside. You were miserable out there. You came in here, you cooled down, but all of a sudden everything is starting to cool down and you're just starting to get absolutely downright miserable. It's not going to kill you, but you're just miserable until you go and put a jacket on or a sweatshirt or sweatpants or something like that. You understand what I'm saying. I know every human body is different, but for most people, 60 degrees, it's a lot cooler than you think. Once your body temperature gets that low and continues to drop, your metabolism is going to slow down. Everything's going to slow down. Your immune system is going to slow down. You're going to start getting sniffly and you're going to start feeling like you have a cold and you're just going to be downright miserable. Now imagine you're locked in that room and you can't get out. Okay, that's not as dramatic as the Matthew McConaughey closing arguments in A Time to Kill, but you get what I'm saying. This is the life of your fish that we're talking about here. They're locked in a room that's too cold. It's not unbearably cold, but it's too cold and they're starting to get miserable. Their immune system is dropped. Their metabolism is down. They're easily stressed. They're lethargic. Everything is just slower and they just feel gross. This is not a life that you would want. You certainly wouldn't want that for your fish. So at this point, I've convinced you of one of two things. Either you're hearing all of this and you're saying, you know what, I need to get out there and get my fish a heater right now. Or you might be somebody that says, forget all that. I'm just keeping cold water fish. But if you're convinced that you need a heater, the next question is going to be, what kind of heaters do I want to keep? And that's an interesting thing because if you ask 20 fish keepers, you're probably going to get 20 different answers. If you want my honest opinion, I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I've used pretty much every brand out there, all the different sizes, every style, everything that you can imagine, and I can't really tell if one is better than the other. But I do like heaters that are made from thermal plastic rather than the ones that are made of glass. The ones that are made of glass are made with a super thin glass that's very easily broken by dropping a rock on it or even just turning and banging it on something or whatever when you're setting things up. I've broken many of heaters. Trust me, it's no fun. In fact, story time. Back when Lisa and I had our shop, we had a customer come in and she was telling us all about the aquarium that was set up at the elementary school that her kids and our kids went to. She said there used to be someone at the school that would take care of the aquarium and do the routine maintenance on the tank, but that person got a new job. Who knows where they went. I don't know if it was a janitor or a teacher or what. I don't know who they were, but that person was no longer there. So there wasn't anyone at the school taking care of that aquarium and the fish were suffering. So Lisa, being the good person that she is, she volunteered to go to the school a couple times a month to take care of that tank. One time, I don't even know why, but I went with her. I don't know why. I didn't have anything else going on that day, but I went to the school with her to help her maintain this tank. It was a 55-gallon tank sitting right in the middle of the main hallway of the school. We were going there that day to do a water change and clean out the filter, do the routine stuff. I don't really know what Lisa was doing right when we got there, but I decided to go ahead and get started, and I gravel vacked everything and I siphoned out about 50% of the water, and then Lisa and I both took buckets and we carried them down to a janitor's closet, which was way down the hallway. That's where we had to go to fill the buckets, actually dump the buckets out, and then fill the buckets back up again with fresh water and carry them back to the tank. We got all the way down to the janitor's closet, and both of us were like, "Do you smell that?" And we both looked at each other and we were like, "Oh no," because we knew what that smell was. And we ran back down to the aquarium, and sure enough, we found that there was a glass heater in the tank that was vertical next to the filter intake, and it was turned all the way up because it's a school and they keep it very cold in schools, and it was in the main hallway, so they really had a lot of cold air pumping in there to keep everything cool, keep the kids cool. But it was turned all the way up to try to kind of, help with that. And so when I drained that water down and that heater that was up full blast got that cold air that hit it, boom. I know, you don't have to tell me. I am well aware that I should have seen that heater. I should have taken it and put it all the way down into the water and had it always submerged, and I should have unplugged it. I know I should have done that, but I overlooked it. I know it's my fault. But the moral of the story is, if that was a thermoplastic heater, that wouldn't have happened. And the other moral of the story is, don't be stupid like me. So what have we learned here? We've learned that some fish don't need a heater. Goldfish, white clouds, danios. But we've learned that most fish do need a heater. And they need a heater because it mimics nature, which is what they would see if they were in the wild. It keeps their metabolism up. It keeps their immune system up. It keeps them generally feeling better. Everything's better when the fish is warmer. We've learned to check your aquarium, check your equipment, and look at it and determine if you even need a heater to keep the temperature to the right place. And we've also learned to not make stupid mistakes like this guy right here. But now it's time to get serious. If you've determined that you do need a heater to keep the temperature up to the right level in your aquarium, and you've decided you're going to go out and get one, I'm going to give you one of the best pieces of advice in this entire video. And it's a piece of advice that you're not going to want to hear, because it's going to cost you some extra money. Buy a backup heater. I know none of you want to hear this because you don't want to go out and spend that extra money. And I don't blame you, but believe me when I tell you, if you are in a situation where you need that backup heater, you're going to be so glad you did it. I've said this 1,000 times. It is better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. When your heater breaks, and it will break, it's not going to happen at a convenient time. It's going to happen at like 9 o'clock on a Sunday when all the pet stores are closed, and you certainly don't have enough time to order it off of Amazon or us. If you have that backup heater, you can put it in and just go on business as usual. Nothing left to see here. Just make sure you replace it, because all of a sudden now you don't have a backup. And here's another thing. This is a trick I learned a long time ago. I've never actually done this, but you can do this. You can have both heaters in the aquarium at the same time. Why would you do this? It's almost like having one of those whole house generators. You take your second heater and you put it about 1 degree down from the other one. If the primary heater breaks, the second one's immediately going to kick in. Your tank's just going to go down by 1 degree. That's not going to kill any fish. So, yeah, I mean, it's a nice little trick. I guess you have to monitor things all the time, though, because how are you really going to know if your if your primary heater broke? But if you're one of those people that's a stickler, you'll know that that first one went out. And it's also, I mean, the room temperature is going to vary and things are going to happen. Who knows if your tank's going to go up or down 1 degree? But if you notice that that primary one went out, then it's time to go and replace that one. But just always have a backup. Trust me, it's just going to make your life have so much less anxiety. And these days, we could all use that. So in my opinion, yes, you do need a heater in your aquarium if you need a heater in your aquarium. I hope I've made that make a little bit more sense than it sounds when I say it. I don't know. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. If your aquarium needs it, yes, you need it. But if you don't need it, you don't need it. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to check out our website, keepfishkeeping.com. I will put a link in the description. I look forward to seeing you again next time.